இப்போ ஹரி போல் லைவ் கிளிக் பண்ணு. இப்போ வரும்.
பேசுறதெல்லாம் வரும்.
அந்த லிங்க் வந்து அந்த அட்லாண்டா யூத் சங்கா குரூப்பில் போடு. Jen is enjoying the floor. Nagare Vishaka. அதெல்லாம் வேற வருதா?
ப்ளீஸ் மியூட் காட்டு. ஆன் பண்ணும்போது அவங்க ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது நீங்க ஆரம்பிங்க. இந்த ஸ்க்ரீனோட ரெசல்யூஷன் எவ்வளோ இருக்கோ அப்படிதான் வரும். இப்போ போடுங்க.
sound. Okay.
So we just start with our Mangala Charan prayers before we chant around together. So Sri Ram Prabhu, would you like to lead us through?
Yeah.
Okay.
Om Ajnanantimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
And once again, if you could lead us with a temple.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा
कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Very nice round.
Thank you very much. Any update from our remaining attendees?
Nope, wait, actually. Puja 20 minutes.
From now, right now? Oh,
4:52, yeah.
okay. So, just a quick, we shall start with a recap of what we have done in our previous courses. As mentioned before, we are studying the very important lineage through which we have received the knowledge of our sastras. It's very important to know where it comes from, to know the legitimacy of it. So there's no question of the fact of what we are told, what we are taught, what we practice. It's also a confirmation that what we do when it comes to doing kirtan, chanting, worshipping the deities in the temple, having the temples, traveling to the Holy Land, having our beads and chanting like we did. This is not something made up 50 years ago. This is something over hundreds and thousands of years that has been confirmed. So we begin with Krishna, and it's from Lord Krishna that we receive the knowledge that we live our lives by. And that's what is also the rock foundation of everything that we know. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So how can the knowledge that He gives us be faulted in any way? That in itself proves that our line has a strong origin. Just trying to get this to work. Alright, and from Krishna we have four main sampradayas, four main lines through which knowledge has been passed down from Krishna. These four main lines are all within the Vaishnava culture, all recognize Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all of them come through these four personalities right here who would receive the knowledge from Krishna and then pass it on down through to an acharya, the main acharya, principal acharya of each one. We have Lord Brahma, and who is the line through which we receive our knowledge, who from Lord Brahma we go through down to Madhvacharya. And can we say the name of our sampradaya together like we did before? The Brahma
Madhva Gaudiya
Sampradaya. Thank you. And then we have our other sampradayas, the Sri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Nimvakya Sampradaya, all of whom are very respectable, and there's lots to learn. Especially Ramanuja Acharya, as we mentioned before, a wonderful story about how his guru told him not to repeat the Mahamantra out loud, and to keep it a secret. And he, in his, good way of thinking, he realized that if it's such a good thing, why should everyone not know? So he went and chanted it in the streets and got everybody to chant it. And his guru was so angry. And he said, "It's okay, you can curse me, I'll take it all, but don't take it away from these people." So that was very special. As I mentioned before, we can spend a whole other session talking about these four sampradayas and the differences and the similarities and the importance of them. We then have Lord Brahma, very nicely we learned about him. We then have Narada Muni, the spiritual spaceman, who does serve as a guru to a lot of people actually. When you read the Shastra, he's always serving as some sort of guru, Diksha or Shiksha guru. So very important personality. we have Srila Vyasadeva, considered a partial incarnation of Lord Krishna, and the literary incarnation of Lord Krishna. He has a nice picture of him receiving knowledge from Narada. We then have Madhvacharya, the principal acharya of our Sampradaya. And then these two pages right here are direct, either first generation or second generation disciples of Madhvacharya. Grand disciples or great grand disciples. So all of them at some point or another would have had direct association with Madhvacharya himself, or would be in association of someone who had a lot of direct association. Specifically up here, Vidyanidhi and Dayanidhi. And they would have had direct association with Madhvacharya himself, being disciples of him. And then when you come down to such as Vyasatirtha and Lakshmipati, they would be disciples of those individuals. We then have Madhavendra Puri. He's the guru of Lord Chaitanya. Am I right? Madhavendra Puri?
No.
Ishvara Puri. And there's Ishvara Puri. And then after that, of course, we have Lord Chaitanya, Krishna himself. And then we have the Goswamis, Rupa Sanatan and Swarup Damodar Goswami. And so this line is considered who's in the same generation. They may be grouped together and have lived together, but it's a sort of a generational thing. That is how it's defined. We have Raghunath and Jiva Goswami, Krishna Das Kaviraj, who we ended on last time. Shirami very nicely summarized that. And so today we should start on Narottam Das Thakur. And so just so that we know what our structure for today is, as we learn about each one, for today we're going to be doing Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji, and Bhaktivinoda. So since Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji not so much, but Vishwanath Chakrabarti and Narottam Das all are famed for their bhajans. And we mainly sing the bhajans from these three acharyas. So we thought after each one, whoever speaking, then we sing one bhajan from them. So that's our structure. We'll learn about them, sing the bhajan from them, and then move to the next. So today we'll be learning about Narottam Das Thakur through.
We are reading the translations too of the bhajan.
We can do the translations before,
Before the
we
bhajan.
sing the bhajan.
Yep.
Then once the bhajan is finished, we can move on to the next acharya.
Yeah.
So Balaram, if you would enlighten us on Narottam Das Thakur.
Alright, I'll try my best. So Narottam Das Thakur, as we know, he wrote a lot of the bhajans that we sing. But before that, when he was a little boy, he had a very similar lifestyle to Raghunath Das Goswami, where he was in a rich family. His dad was basically like a wealthy man, well-known man. He had a lot of influence in his area, but he was always very intelligent. He was inclined towards like Shastric studies and so on. And the way he basically got connected with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was through a dream, where Nityananda Prabhu came in his dream and he said, "Go to this river and take a bath." And that river is.
I don't mean to stop, but since they're coming,
Oh,
can
yes.
we just pause for one moment?
Yeah.
Since we just started, I think it's okay if we just pause and restart
We'll
again.
restart.
Little cliffhanger.
Little cliffhanger.
There's a wonderful biography of Narottam Das Thakur that just came out like 2-3 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is that?
Narottam Vilas or something?
I forgot the name of the book, but it was written by one Mataji. She went to.
Hi, Bo.
I would
How are you doing, Shlok?
How do you go?
How far do you think will this carry on?
Yeah.
Another 15 minutes, which might be.
Yeah, they'll have
Unless we can do Harinam for 15. But are we sure that they'll be here in 15?
They'll come for the next acharya then.
Okay.
Yeah, because they left at 4:51, and then she said 20 minutes, so maybe 9 more minutes, I guess. Left.
What do you think
9
we should do?
plus, yeah.
Should we carry on?
You can do a
I think
quick
let's
recap for
carry
them.
on.
Yeah, I think you can do a summary. I think let's do it, and then when they come, we'll be at the bhajan anyway, so
Yeah.
it'll be good. So, sorry, Balaram. Please continue.
Alright,
Cliffhanger.
we'll start over. So we're talking about Narottam Das Goswami right
Sorry,
now.
before you go on, let's have some time. Shlok does not know what we're doing.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It was the other Prabhu that came last time.
Thank you for coming, Shlok. It's nice to see you. So we've met 2 times before, and we're following a theme. We're learning about the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, the lineage through which we learn our knowledge. And so in the past 2 sessions, we've covered all the acharyas in order, all the way down to today's first acharya, Narottam Das Thakur. And so he's famous for his bhajans and also many of his literary contributions. And so Balaram is going to be telling us about Narottam Das Thakur today. And then we'll sing a bhajan by him afterwards. So, Balaram, thank you.
I don't know why I thought you were Dheeraj Prabhu. Huh? Oh, really? I have no clue.
Did he move back to India?
Yeah, he go well. He good job in IIT.
Oh, really?
That's nice.
Alright, so we're talking about Narottam Das Thakur. So I was saying that he had a very similar life story to Raghunath Das Goswami, who we had heard about just a couple, like in the last time we met, and where he was born into a very wealthy family in Bengal. His dad had a lot of influence in the community, and he was basically set up to take over his duties after he passed away. But at a young age, he was also very intelligent. He was interested in Shastric studies and so on. And one night in a dream, Nityananda Prabhu came to him, and he said, "Go to this river Padmavati and take a bath." And in that river, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had visited, and he had basically given his love for Krishna, and he had stored it in that river for Narottam Das Thakur. And so Narottam Das Thakur went, and he took that bath, and he got that overflooding of love of Krishna. And from then on, he just wanted to leave home. He wanted to go to Vrindavan. He wanted to go to Krishna's land. And so, kind of in a similar pattern, after his father passed away, he handed over the duties to his brother and the rest of his family, and he left for Vrindavan. And there, he met the Goswamis, particularly Jiva Goswami, who was his Shiksha Guru. He taught him everything. And that's where he learned about all these different Shastras. He learned about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He learned about everything there. And also over there, he took initiation. There's a whole story of how he took initiation from his guru there, Lokanath Goswami, which we can get into, but it's a tangent of its own, because Lokanath Goswami is not really a part of this, even though he's one of a very primary devotee. But basically, he said he's not going to take any disciples. And Narottam Das Thakur was like, "No, I want to be your disciple." And so he would serve him.
Goswami said that?
Yeah, Lokanath Goswami. But Narottam Das Thakur was like, "I want to be your disciple only." And so what he would do is he'd serve him secretly. He'd serve him when he wasn't looking. He'd like Lokanath Goswami would come back home, and he'd see, "Oh, my bathroom's clean, okay."
he would use the forest as his bathroom.
Yeah.
Or he's like, "Oh, like wow, there's flowers. It's clean. Like this is bloomed. All this." Like he would just come and like, "Okay." And then eventually he convinced him to give him initiation. He got initiation from Lokanath Goswami. But that's why when his song Shri Guru Charana Padma, we have Lokanath. Exactly, because that's his Gurudev. So that's why we have Lokanath there, because he wrote that song for him. And then I think what I find really amazing about him is that he started the book distribution movement, because he was instructed by Jiva Goswami to take books to Bengal and to preach. And there's a whole story with that, because on the way, his books got stolen, because they went by with because that time was Muslim rule, there were weird kings also, like things were really just like chaotic, kind of like how it is now. So like there was a border crossing, and then they saw like, "Oh, what is this? This doesn't seem right." They thought it was like gold coin and stuff. So they're like, "This is a heavy package of stuff. Like this doesn't seem right. You're coming to the king." And so he was taken to the king, and over there they were basically put on trial, and then they're like opened this box, and all the papers, all the books came out, and I think they were all on palm leaves as well, because back then they didn't have paper. The Gutenberg machine wasn't there yet, so it was all handwritten, and and they were basically transporting books to Bengal to distribute them, to preach. And so that's something amazing about him, is that he started this book distribution movement, which is also a very special thing that we're going to notice in all the acharyas from the Goswamis till Prabhupada, is that everyone really focused on writing books and preaching. And in the first discussion, when we discussed what an acharya is, it is to basically preach the same message, but to the people of that age. So in the time Narottam Das Thakur was present, it was like local people didn't know what Sanskrit was. They knew Bengali. They knew the local languages. So what he did is he wrote so many bhajans that basically him and Bhakti Vinod Thakur especially, they took the teachings of Rupa Goswami, which is all in Sanskrit. All the Goswamis, they wrote in Sanskrit these esoteric books, very detailed books that covered everything about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. and they made it simple. They made it into songs. They made it so that everyone could just chant them, like Navadvip in Bengal. That they could just go around. They could just chant like how we speak now in English. We like write poems about Krishna. It's kind of like that. They were writing poems in their local language about Krishna, loving him, serving him, and all that. So that's Narottam Das Thakur, and he's kind of this pioneer, we could say, of this for both book distribution, where him, Srinivasacharya, and Shyamananda Pandit, they would all go together. They would preach. But he also wrote his own books. And so now we will be singing one of his bhajans. And maybe we can read the translation first.
Yeah. Give me one moment to just bring up. You're doing Gauranga Rutipada?
Yes. So this song is very special because it's a very reassuring song. There's a lot of things that make it you feel really nicely, because first he talks about how through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu you can reach Radha and Krishna. Now we always emphasize, we worship Radha Krishna, but then at the same time we like worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How does that make sense? And he like clarifies it all. He's like if you go into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, you'll basically know Radha Krishna. And then another thing that he says that is very important, he says Grihe Tako Bane Tako Sada Hari Bole Tako. Or I think that's a different song.
That is
Ha Gauranga Bole Tako. That's Gai Gaura Mother, sorry. Grihe Tako Bane Tako Ha Gauranga. I'm forgetting the way exactly it goes, but it's there if you pull it up.
Before we carry on, I was wondering if you could tell us of the great festival of Keturi.
Okay, so the village he was born in was called Keturi in Bengal. And so because he wrote so many bhajans, they would have Kirtan festivals there where they would sing his bhajan. And that still goes on till this day. And I learned about this because on YouTube something popped up, Keturi Festival Kirtan, because they were doing it in, I think, New York. New Jersey, the Gaudiya Math there. They were celebrating this festival on his disappearance day, one of those, on his days. And I was like, what does Keturi mean? And I looked into it and it was like, it's his village. So they sing his songs that he wrote, and basically it's almost like how we do Bhagavad Sapta, where we like take a week to read the Bhagavatam. It's like we take a whole day to just go through all his wonderful bhajans that he's written.
So the great festival of Keturi, he was instructed by his guru to install the deities of Radha and Krishna to be worshipped there in his home village. And so Narottam Das Thakur, he comes from a pretty wealthy background. And so his guru and the acharyas, they thought, this is a good opportunity. You should use these resources rather than give it all up, even though he wasn't very keen to use it. So the Great Festival of Keturi was like the biggest festival of all time until modern day. He threw like the biggest festival with all the who's who of the who's who. Every remaining personal associate of Lord Chaitanya was there. Every person who personally associated with Lord Chaitanya was there. Every acharya from every sampradaya that was alive came there. And everyone was welcomed in this grand manner. It's like everyone you read of, it's like the who's who. You read about them, you hear about their commentaries, and they were all there. It's like even the consorts of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda were present. That's what they said. And these followers, these close followers. So Narottam Das Thakur really was not just the singer-songwriter, literary master, but is also the event organizer. So a lot of inspiration from him. I always thought the Keturi festival is very famous, and very often you'll hear sometimes Radhanath Swami uses it. He's like, oh no, this is not the Keturi festival, but we'll try our best. He says that quite often actually. So, and the songs by Narottam Das Thakur, I just wanted to mention before we move on to the song. He has written some of the most beautiful songs that you can ever imagine. And I'm just trying to find the complete list right here so I can read it off. The song we'll be singing today, Gauranga Dutipada, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Daya Karamore. He does Gauranga Bolite Have. And Janilo is actually one of the most important ones. So I thought it was amazing that one person, like we hear, if you look at the list of every song he writes, it's almost every song you know of. So it's amazing, and Narottam Das Thakur really is special.
In fact, for Janilo Premadana, like he wrote it because he literally was born right after everyone left. Like he really felt that song. He's like, where is everyone? What is this? Like everyone's just just left. Like
Missing the train by a few minutes.
Yeah, just like imagine if you were born on like 1978. Like like Prabhupada just left.
Yeah.
And like that's just like that, like you're just like, what? I just missed it. So that's like there's a lot of feeling in his songs.
I'm trying to figure out how to.
KK songs is annoying. They don't do this.
That's so nice.
I think we can look for the translation in Desire Tree maybe.
Just gonna do that right now.
I forgot my computer. I had the slides for these songs.
Old school.
It gives like a bell.
Yeah.
Like a nice
Ding
church bell
You want to
vibe.
grab that from here?
Yeah.
Thank you, Bala. That was a very nice
Summarize.
summarize.
How much about the Kirtan festival? That was cool.
So we're doing.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Did he give the tour of the house? Not
I
yet?
did a self tour and then he started showing me.
Okay,
Yeah, there's one like especially cool footage. He'll show you.
Haribol.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
This is Vishaka. This is Rishi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hello.
Hare Bol. How are you doing?
Very nice to meet you. Same.
Puja Mataji. Vishaka.
Come on, Nani.
It's like a cozy cabin.
Yeah. That's exactly what we were thinking.
Let me get ready.
So, just to bring us up to speed of what's going on. So, we've met 2 times before, and we've been going along with the theme of learning about the Brahma Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, sorry. And so we've made it all the way down to, in order, all the way down to Narottam Das Thakur. And so Balaram has just nicely summarized, if you want to give a quick summary for them of Narottam Das Thakur. He's known for his bhajans,
Known for his bhajans.
writing so many amazing bhajans.
He started the book distribution.
Yeah, she just wants to be able to see.
He
But I guess.
was the first event organizer.
Yeah, he's known for the very famous Keturi festival, if you've heard of that. And so, a very prominent acharya that we learned about. And so now, since the next few acharyas that we're covering today are so musically talented, we thought that after each one we'll do one of their bhajans. So we're going from Narottam Das Thakur down to Bhakti Vinod Thakur today. So we've just finished Narottam, hearing about Narottam Das Thakur. So let us read the translation. You want to read it?
You can go to
Go around. Do the first one and then.
Anyone who has accepted the 2 lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya as their only asset knows the true essence of devotional service. If anyone gives submissive oral reception to the pleasing and sweet pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, then immediately his heart becomes cleansed of all material contamination.
Anyone who simply chants the name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya will immediately develop love of Godhead. I offer him all congratulations by saying, Bravo! If anyone feels ecstasy and cries by simply hearing the transcendental qualities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he at once understands the eternal loving affairs between Radha and Krishna.
Anyone who has understood that the associates of Lord Chaitanya are eternally liberated souls immediately becomes eligible to enter into the abode of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaja in Vrindavana, in his next birth. If anyone understands that there is no difference between Gauda Mandala, the place in West Bengal where Lord Chaitanya had his pastimes, and the transcendental abode of Sri Vrindavana Dhamma, then he actually lives in Vrindavana.
Anyone who takes pleasure sporting within the waves of the ocean of Lord Chaitanya's distribution of love of God immediately becomes a confidential devotee of Sri Sri Radha Madhava. It doesn't matter whether such a devotee is in the renounced order of life or whether he is a householder. If he is actually taking part in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtana activities and actually understanding what it is, then such a person is always liberated. Narottama Das aspires for his association.
Nice, thank you. I think this might be a better site for the song as well. So we'll just keep it there.
Can you, Karthik, can you make sure the display never goes to sleep? Think you can do that?
Let's see.
Or else you need to keep getting back to it.
That's weird.
Sorry, say again.
one of them out a little further.
Or else you need to keep touching the.
And that's the one.
Oh yeah.
How did you fix the ring?
Pull the thing.
Okay, hold it.
Pull it out.
Open it up. You gotta see what.
This one? I think this is the key.
You want to use this instead?
Huh? Sure. This is Hardik, I think this is the key. It's stuck.
Okay.
I love
Wait, what?
Since you started late,
Late? Okay. We'll just-
we'll move on to the next one.
Yep.
Alright, thank you once again, Balaram, for enlightening us about Narottam Das Thakur and singing that wonderful bhajan for our thanks, Purana Mahaprabhu. Next up, we have another very important personality in the form of. Give me one sec. Technical difficulties, I apologize. Next up, we have Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and it's hard to speak on these acharyas. There's so many wonderful glories about them. They've all contributed to the sampradaya in such amazing and deep ways that sometimes it's hard to even fathom what they've done. Especially with Narottam Das Thakur, but especially with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In the period between 1600 and 1700, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was arguably the only acharya strong enough to keep the sampradaya going, to keep the Vaishnava theology going. In a time where a lot was questioned, in a time where everything was changed in the rest of the world, you know, whether you look at Eastern culture or Western culture, it was a time of change for everybody. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, being someone who at first was thought unlikely to be a successful practitioner of Vaishnava theology, became this forefront, this rock for everybody to lay on and lean on and rely on. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur appeared in 1638 and originally was known as Hari Vallabh Das. He came in the disciplic succession of Narottam Das Thakur, but was not a direct disciple of Narottam Das Thakur. At this point in the Sampradaya, it's hard to find an acharya that is a direct disciple of the previous one, but it's close enough to say that there is. So when it comes to this point in the Sampradaya, we're looking more at the very prominent figures who contributed in a large way, who changed things or developed things or evolved things in a certain way, and left us with a lot that we can learn and use in our spiritual practices. He was known as the crest jewel of the Vaishnavas during this time and a pure devotee. He is known for his scholarship and various commentaries on Shastra, specifically Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada in his purports often quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. At first he was a married man when he took initiation, and from a very young age, within his school days of just learning grammar, he had begun naturally having an attraction towards spirituality, towards Bhakti Yoga, and studied it in depth. And at a very young age, he was defeating, Vaishnavas who had been studying it for decades, but he was defeating them in debate. And he was following in the same line and the same beliefs of the Madhva Sampradaya. After studying for a long time, he felt that the need was there for him to give up married life and move to Vrindavan. He moved to the banks of Radhakund and actually took residence in the Bhajan Kutir of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami on the banks of Radhakund. He was revered amongst the inhabitants of Vrindavan and everyone within India and the Gaudiya Sampradaya and Gaudiya Vaishnavism. During his stay in Vrindavan, he worshipped Radha Gokulananda, who you can still see in Vrindavan today, and a Giriyat Shila, which is also in the Radha Gokulananda temple. His commentaries are very well known, and actually how he came about getting to that point. Not just anybody just wakes up one morning and thinks, let me write a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita today. But actually, he in a dream, Lord Krishna came to him and instructed him, Vishwanath, I want you to write commentaries on all the Shastra, on everything. And the next morning, he immediately got to it. It's said that when he would sit and write, he would sit outside, and the clouds would move in a certain way to give him shade. He would never have direct sunshine burning him at any time. And it would rain, but not one drop would fall on him or on the scriptures that he was writing, on his commentary, at any time. He had many followers. And actually, I think Sriram, last time you had mentioned the story about there being an extra syllable.
Yep.
Yeah, this was with him.
Krishna.
Would you mind telling us that story again? You said it so nicely, so I thought you could just tell us again.
Yeah, so Vishwanath, so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, we don't have a lot of information about him, about his upbringing, about his Sanskrit prowess or his Vedic knowledge or anything about it. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was doing some research on one of the works of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami had written about a Gayatri mantra, that this Gayatri mantra has only 24 syllables, but in actuality, according to like the current Sanskrit rules at that time, it had 25 syllables. So this was like nagging Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Why would Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami say that there are only 24 syllables when in actuality there are 25, right? So he decided to fast until death, until he figured out why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wrote that there were only 24 syllables. So he didn't eat anything for like 3-4 days, and then on the 4th or 5th day, Radharani comes in the dream of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and tells him, hey, don't think you know too much. Whatever he has written is correct. Go find this book in this area, because he was trying to figure out the rules from multiple different books and he couldn't figure out anything. So Radharani came to his dream and told him, go to this location, there's a book there, refer to that book, and you will find out why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wrote that there are only 24 syllables in this Gayatri mantra, right? So he wakes up and then he goes to that place, finds that exact book, and then in that book there is a rules stating that if this letter comes after this letter, then it can be considered as 24 syllables. Right? It was such an obscure book in some obscure location, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was stunned that how, like, there's no way Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami could have gone there and looked at this book and figured out the rule, right? So then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur learned about the true nature of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and like we discussed, like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has said that he wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita when he was like 85-90 years old, so he couldn't even hold his pen or the quill to the parchment. And then he just said like, Radharaman just writes it through me. I'm not doing it. Radha Madan Mohan just writes it through me, and he's just saying it, and then he's writing it through my hand. So that's the power of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur understood that from this Leela.
Thank you. What an amazing story. It shows the commitment that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur had to these commentaries. And it shows why these commentaries are used by even Srila Prabhupada himself extensively. I think
I'd say the importance of this is significant, right? So around the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many people offered to write commentaries in the Srimad Bhagavatam, including Vallabhacharya, who was at that time considered esteemed. But he forbade that and said there's one commentary that is the supreme commentary. There should be no more commentaries. That's the Sridhar Swami's original commentary.
Right.
But many people faulted that commentary because he belonged to the Advaita Sampradaya. And therefore he was not part of the Madhva Sampradaya. And that the Madhva, even Madhvacharya's commentary was not accepted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the original. So many people faulted that and said, how could you do that? That's not appropriate. So Vallabhacharya came and said, I have written commentary, just correct it to see if it's right. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I will not see that person. That person does not exist here. One who faults Sridhar Swami, that person does not exist here. So in that extreme instruction for someone to get up and say, I will write a commentary now, takes a huge amount of confidence, audacity.
And he was an expert on Lord Chaitanya's teachings.
That's right.
Including that in specific instruction.
That's right. So I think that just to think that we have something that is, that we can say is in the Sampradaya is, many people dare not even enter that.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is such a special person. And from some of his direct disciples, some of them believe he is actually a reincarnation of Rupa Goswami himself. And so at the time he lived for approximately 100 years. And towards his elderly age he became semi-conscious. He wouldn't have the ability to move and function much. But he would remain near Radhakund and in Vrindavan, chanting all day long, hearing and reading the scriptures. His disciples would take care of him as much as possible, but he wouldn't take much. But during this time, especially the king of Jaipur, kings around the area, they had a lot of debate going on in their courts. And a lot of the debate was around the very fundamental teachings of Vaishnava theology, which was at the time very widespread and very popular. But a lot of people brought into question the current practices of many Vaishnavas. And so the king of Jaipur at the time, knowing that Vishwanath Chakravarti was a follower of Rupa Goswami and his teachings, invited him to come and debate. Unfortunately, he was so old he could not travel, but he sent his disciples who spoke on his behalf, and they easily defeated every single debate in the court of the king, and brought things back to where it should be in terms of knowledge. At one time, there was such a big debate that his opponents thought they would kill him, and so he would go to a certain area in the forest to use the bathroom, and next to it was a flower grove. So they thought they would hide amongst the flowers behind the trees, and they wait for Vishwanath Chakrabarti and kill him. And they thought it was fine, because one day we get him out the way, their views would be prominent, and then as well he's old, so it won't matter. He's so old. As he was walking, he knew that they would be coming to kill him, but he had full faith that he'd be completely protected. As they came around the trees, they saw him, and they came around a corner, around a tree, and then he disappeared, but in his place stood this beautiful young girl, glowing. And she was picking flowers off the tree. And so this group of men, dacoits, ready to kill Vishwanath. They're like, little girl, they could see she had these eyes like Radharani. And the sidelong glances where she was looking at them and saying, "Who are you? Why are you looking at me?" She was kind of concerned. So they went up to her and said, "Little girl, there was this old man here. Did you see him?" "Oh yes, I saw him, but I don't know where he went." And they asked her, "Oh, okay. But who are you? It's late at night. What are you doing here?" She says, "No, I'm a servant of Srimati Radhika Devi. She is at her mother-in-law or father-in-law's house in Yavat, and she sent me to get flowers for her Krishna. So I'm here." And they were amazed knowing that this is a gopi, and later revealed to be Rupa Manjari. And as she said that, she disappeared, and in her place was Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. And so these same opponents of him, who wanted to kill him, immediately fell at his feet and offered full obeisance. And so many stories like that about Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, that one being the most famous one. There's so many stories, you can go very deep into it. But as I mentioned before, his deities, Radha Gokulananda, are very beautiful deities, still in Vrindavan Dham. And his teachings are so prominent, as Rishi Prabhu so nicely brought to our attention. His commentaries are not something that are just normal in the Sampradaya. So the fact that they are there in the first place, and the fact that even Srila Prabhupada so nicely quotes them in almost every purport, every other purport, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, shows his importance. Anything else that anyone would like to add about Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur? Anything I've missed?
His disciple is Vidyabhushan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vidya.
So,
Baladev Vidyabhushan.
prominent acharyas.
Very prominent acharya. So yes, within that time, he was the stronghold for Vaishnava culture. And so the song that his most famous bhajan, he has many, but the most famous one is the Guru Vastikam. And so we thought we'd sing that today to honor Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. I'm just going to bring it up. How many instruments? How many? Sriram, do you know how to stop the screen from going off?
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah.
Wherever you're in the same one, in system preferences. Wherever you
Her middle name is Vishaka. Oh, okay. Damini. Damini. Oh, she used to, when she was very young, she used to say, "My name is Vishaka baby."
Vishaka baby.
maybe. Oh, that's no, screensaver is app.
Yes.
Yeah, just do it never. Yeah.
Are you liking it?
Thank you.
The weather kind of cool for you?
today.
Very cool.
It was so good just a couple of days back.
Yeah.
Like
All of a
85-degree
sudden.
weather, then it goes to like
Yeah,
45.
it's like a whole different season.
I know.
That's gorgeous for you.
I know.
Dang, I need something where this is not.
Did it work?
Yeah. You know, KK Songs is completely published through Microsoft Word.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They have no like WordPress, nothing. It's just straight up Word published to web.
Hey, maybe we must make it.
That's why like their zoom in and stuff doesn't work properly.
Okay, this is the best one I could find right now.
Oh, there's colors. I love the blue, the ocean, the fountain. No, nice job. Vishwanath Chakravarti.
Okay. So we'll do verse by verse. I think we start with you, Shubham, right? Last time?
Yeah.
So, Yushiprabhu, you'd like to start since we're going around the room. You
Yes.
can do the translation. Is that big enough or shall I make it bigger?
Can you make it a little bigger?
Is that a bit better? Okay.
The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. Just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such spiritual master, who is an ocean of auspicious qualities.
Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments, the spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtana movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind. Sometimes his hair stands on ends. He feels quivering in his body, and tears flow through his eyes like waves. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzed as that which is lit, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasad, he is also satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika and Madhava, and their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
The spiritual master is very dear because he is expert in assisting the gopis, who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan. I offer my most humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord, because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, who is a bona fide representative of Sri Hari, Krishna.
By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master. At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master.
Just gonna put this one on. And we can start. Is that good? Shift it up to the side. No, I can also do more.
5:30, at least 6:30.
You want to do the first one? First one, and then I'll do 3 and 4.
Manasura Sena Shri प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादा नगति कुतोऽपि यस्य प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादा नगति कुतोऽपि
We have two more acharyas left to discuss today. Next up we have Jagannath Das Babaji. Just give me one moment to get ready for that. Okay, next up we have Jagannath Das Babaji. I will try my best to speak on as much as I know about it. If anyone else would like to contribute and help me out, you're more than welcome to. But Jagannath Das Babaji, a truly simple acharya, someone very simple. Having lived for so many years, at the age of 125 years old, his body appeared bent like a semicircle. That's why often in our pictures we see his body bent in such a way. But even though he had such physical ailments, it never stopped him from his japa, from his bhajan. He was always eager to serve the devotees. And most of his life, he spending 6 months in Navagiri and 6 months in Vrindavan. And somehow he kept this up always. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who we'll hear from after this, received direct initiation from him. And he did most of his bhajan at Surya Kund in Vrindavan. He would always sing and dance no matter what. And any other time you'd see him sitting in one position. And you wouldn't see him moving around or doing too much. But the moment that someone would start kirtan, he would jump into there and leap higher than anyone else. Even though his body was bent and he was so, even at the age of 100 and some odd years, he would do such things. He was a devout devotee and follower of Lord Chaitanya. And you would often hear him, if not chanting, speaking the glories of Lord Chaitanya. He would often beg for food. He lived as an ascetic in Vrindavan and Navagiri. And sometimes he would even have the diet of simply eating rice and mud from the banks of the Yamuna. That was the diet that he followed. But his main focus was chanting. He was not focused on anything. He had, one of the things that we learn from him is his deep respect for all living entities within the Dharma. He would see sometimes that, that his disciples would see sometimes that they would bring him a plate of prasad so that he wouldn't have to beg for it. And then the dogs, the puppies of Vrindavan would come and they would eat from his plate. And so his disciple, one specific one, seeing this, thinking, oh my gosh, these dirty dogs are coming and eating from the plate of my guru, immediately went and chased them away. And Jagannath Das Babaji got so extremely angry. Why have you done this? They are the inhabitants of Raj and you've chased them away. I will not eat until they come and eat with me. That was his mood. Every living entity, down to the blade of grass, to the plants, to the small animals like the bugs, he would not disturb them because they were all inhabitants of the Dham. And those who are inhabitants of the Dham, he himself has said, they are not any ordinary soul. It's specifically from him that we learn this. So I'm not sure if everyone has been to Vrindavan Mayapur. Yeah, everyone's been. Yeah. You're the only one? Has everyone
it's
else
okay,
been?
right here. These two haven't been. These two haven't.
I last went over 10 years ago, so it doesn't count. But whenever you go, you'll see the Vaishnavas from all over the world. The most important thing is to not disturb anything. But also I try to describe to Jen often of how the cows in Vrindavan are unlike any other cows you'll ever meet in your life. So that just shows these living entities are so important and so special. When he met Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji being old and frail, he was still one of the most respected acharyas in the area. In Vrindavan, everyone knew who he was. Everyone knew that he was a source of such knowledge. And when he met Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he transferred all this knowledge and bhajan to him. And that was one of the most important things for him to do. He gave some very important instructions and informed his disciples and followers to take very seriously the process of Bhakti Yoga, to as much as possible give up the distractions of the world, and never to forget Lord Gauranga, to never forget his teachings, and to focus on him, to chant as much as possible, and encourage them, no matter what lifestyle they may lead, to make it a part of their lifestyle to be Krishna conscious. He was a very practical man. He would give such advice as, often it's said that, a wife should treat the husband as God. But if a husband has a wife who is also a Vaishnavi, a husband should treat the wife just as good as God as well. Because together you serve Krishna. And within all of us is Krishna in the heart. So such advice like this, he was a very practical guru and a very practical acharya, who we have a lot to learn from. From what we know, he also passed away in Suwanee and spent most of his life trying to spread the holy names, and as I mentioned before, was very absorbed in chanting the Mahamantra. Unfortunately, there's not much more that I could find, not much more I could find about him, about any of his glories, other than that he was so absorbed in the Mahamantra and in the inhabitants of the Dham. So, if anybody else knows anything else, so.
It's one very sweet pastime where he used to sleep on the streets without any covering. In the winters, some of the inhabitants would say, "Hey Babaji, please take this blanket," and he would say, "No, I don't want any blanket. I'm fine." In the Bhagavad Gita, we read that Sidoshna Sukadukam, right? Someone who sees all the cold and the heat as one, right? Like who's in the winter, they feel just like as it is in the summer. So he took that to heart and was practicing that. So once it was very windy and he was sleeping and someone had put a blanket on him, and then they came back and they saw that the blanket was actually put on top of a ship, like a small boat, and he was lying underneath the boat. He said maybe this boat also needs this warmth from the blanket because again is Krishna's property. So that was when that seeing that oneness in Krishna is something that he exemplified in every way.
Another prominent contribution that Jagannath Das Babaji made was that when Bhaktivinoda Thakur took him to Navadvip to confirm the holy places, it was he who confirmed the places of the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya and Srivasanga, the home of Srivas, where the Kirtans of Lord Chaitanya's time took place. And he was a direct disciple of Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. And he was born in West Bengal in 1776. And he met Bhaktivinoda Thakur in 1880. So it said he's lived beyond 140 years. So clearly rice and mud is a good diet to have.
Another important thing is he refused to take initiate anymore. There's only one person that he initiated. And that's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
Another nice thing that he started that is in effect till today. When he met the son of Bhaktivinoda, who is Bhaktisiddhanta, he learned that Bhaktisiddhanta from a young age already had such a vast knowledge of astrology, and instructed him to create a calendar with all the festivals, disappearances and appearance days. And it's through his encouragement of Bhaktisiddhanta that today we have our Vaishnava calendar, where we know what days are what, when to celebrate what, break fast times and everything. So
to also add to this, I don't think on the slide, but with Jagannath Das Babaji, it's Guru Baladev Vidya Bhushan, another acharya, and I think Prabhu was mentioning it before, but he's also a disciple of Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, and particularly he wrote the Govinda Bhasya, which is again kind of in the same light where a lot of people were criticizing that this Vaishnava or these Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they don't have a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he would say that Srimad Bhagavatam is commentary enough. Like that explains everything. It's Vyasadev's own commentary on Vedanta Sutra. But then to satisfy them, he was instructed to basically write the Govinda Bhasya and write a commentary for all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And he's like, I don't know what to do. So he went to the Govinda Dev temple and he just prayed, and then he wrote whatever. Then he basically started writing, and it's called Govinda Bhasya because it's said that Govinda basically wrote that book for him. And Prabhupada actually quotes this book a few times as well in his purports. So that's another, they're like at the same time.
Another nice instruction that he gave was that Krishna is the avatar of Dwarpa Yuga, but Gora, Lord Chaitanya, is the avatar of Kali Yuga. So it's his instruction and it's him who we should worship. Which is why I encourage all of his disciples and followers to very seriously worship Lord Chaitanya and take his instruction, to never forget himself. Anything else that anyone remembers about Jagannath Das Babaji? I think we'll move on. And finally, our last acharya for today, who we'll be learning about, is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, another very important, extremely important acharya in very recent times. Sri Prabhu will be teaching us all about it. All about it.
Not teaching.
Enlightening us.
Yeah. So, before we set the before we talk about the appearance of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we need to set the milieu in which his appearance took place. Although we have the Vedanta Sutras by Baladev Vidyabhushana, the commentary on the Vedanta Sutras, the commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the milieu in which Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared was that Gaudiya Vaishnavism was basically deteriorated to a point where none of the educated elite, no sane person basically considered Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gaudiya Vaishnavism to be anything fit to be followed, because the Sahajiyas had corrupted the philosophy so much in the name of Prema Bhakti that they were doing total nonsense and immoral behavior that none of the educated elite in West Bengal considered Gaudiya Vaishnavism to be of any importance. They just treated them like immoral, illiterate fools, and nobody even gave even a little bit of attention to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It is in this milieu that Bhaktivinoda Thakur appears. And if we see all the acharyas till now that we have looked at, probably not one of them we have seen to be like proper householders, right? They're all Babajis, they're all like renunciate monks, they're all their full focus, 100% full focus had been Krishna consciousness. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the first acharya in this list who we see to be a householder, right? We'll see because of this milieu, we will come to know why Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to take on the appearance of a householder and get on with it, right? So, and then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur basically gives this description of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the shining lamp who had come to dispel the darkness into which Gaudiya Vaishnavism had descended into. So, starting from there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was born in 1838. There's extensive history about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so many things to know, but we'll just shrink it down to the most important parts on why he's considered an acharya, right? Like we already in the first class we discussed why even though we have so many gurus, why someone is considered an acharya, right? Either they did two things: they did something significant to spread the movement far and wide, or they did something really significant to stop the deterioration of the sampradaya. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was instrumental in doing both. So he stopped the deterioration and he helped in the spread of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism movement all over India. So important. So by the age of 2, he started writing poems, it seems. So at the age of 2, he wrote his first poem, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then he was born in a very affluent family. They had lots of lands and they gave a lot of charity. But by the age of 12, they lost all the lands, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's whole family became very poor. So they had to move from their birthplace to Calcutta to his uncle's place, which is where he was educated. His uncle was a master in English, and his uncle taught him English from the age of 12. And he joined college at the age of 18, and by the age of 20, he was writing Greek epics in English. So he wrote a big 2-part epic, Greek epic about Porus meeting Alexander in English, and by the age of 21, 22, he started giving English lectures to Englishmen, basically. So a lot of Englishmen, British people, would come and listen to his oratory skills in English. And his first job was as a teacher in West Bengal. So he started as a school teacher, and then he became a headmaster of the school, and then he took up the civil services exam and got into the civil services of the British government. This is an important point. So he became a civil servant, we can see, in order to get into a respectable position, so that whatever he says becomes respectable in the elite society of West Bengal, because that was his main reason for his appearance, to bring back Gaudiya Vaishnavism from this immoral deterioration into something respectable again. Right? So we can see that from the age of 22, he started moving between Puri and West Bengal for different transfers between civil services. And it was when he was in Puri was when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was born. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was his fourth child, and he had 10 children, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So while he was in Puri is when he started studying the Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita very deeply, and that is when he understood the true purport of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Right? And it was at this age, around 30 years of age, when he became a deputy magistrate, which was a very respectable position, control of like 30-40 districts, almost the whole state is under the control of a deputy magistrate. Right? And then he started reading the Bhagavatam and Srimad Chaitanya Charitamrita, and for the next 20 years, he spends most of his time in Puri and Bengal. He just goes from Puri, Bengal, and there's a very nice pastime of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, which is given here when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was very, very young, probably like just when he was born, like 1 year or 6 months old. They were living, Bhakti Vinod Thakur's house was right in the path of the Jagannath Rath Yatra. So all the three Raths stopped right in front of Bhakti Vinod Thakur's house and don't move for 3 days. So they just stuck there. All the people are trying, like lakhs and lakhs of people are trying to pull the Rath is not moving. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur says...
Elephants too. They got elephants.
Elephants, they tried everything and the Raths just didn't move, they just stuck. Nobody knew what to. And then Bhakti Vinod Thakur said, okay, now can you bring Bimala Prasad, which is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's name, and then they bring him out, and then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati takes darshan of Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, and immediately the Rath starts moving. So that is the potency of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati along with Bhakti Vinod Thakur in Puri, right? So it was during this time, around when he was around like 35-40, when he took formal initiation. But like we have seen for the last 4 or 5 acharyas, he didn't take initiation from Jagannath Das Babaji. He took initiation from someone called Vipin Bihari Goswami. We don't know who that is. They just say that he's someone from the Jahnavi Mata lineage. He took initiation from there, and then he continued doing his sadhana. But I don't know if he was given a Diksha name. He was still continued to be called by his birth name until another 20-30 years, which is when the people of Puri, the Vaishnavas, gave him the official name of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Right? So it was during his stay in Puri around 1880 is when he took 3 months off from work and went to Vrindavana. So he used to do this regularly. He used to take 2 months off, 3 months off, and go to Vrindavana. And it was during this time, when he went to Vrindavana, this 3-month period, that he got the association of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. And then he accepted him as a Siksha Guru and took a very intimate association of him and took a lot of instructions from Jagannath Das Babaji. Another important thing that Bhakti Vinod Thakur did was because of the deterioration of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Nobody knew basically where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born by that time. Nobody had knowledge of what happened to Navadvip, what happened to Mayapur. It was all just like a normal city, normal village. So it was around 1885 that Bhaktivinoda Thakur decided to just retire and go and settle in Vrindavan. So as soon as he made this decision, Mahaprabhu came in his dream that same night and said, before you go to Vrindavan, you have a very important mission in Mayapur and Navadvip. So finish that mission and then you can do whatever you want. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur immediately goes to Mayapur, Navadvip. He's still working, so he gets a transfer and he's promoted as a magistrate for the whole Nadia district in Navadvip and Mayapur. And then he goes and he does extensive research for 6 months. He talks to all senior elderly Vaishnavas. He reads a number of books to figure out which is the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And even now, if you go to Mayapur, Chaitanya Math is managing his kutir there, and you'll see a window. It is said that from that window he was meditating, and suddenly in his vision came this big tree, and he went to that tree, and that is the tree under which Mahaprabhu was born. So he found out the birthplace of Mahaprabhu, and then to get confirmation, like Kartik said, Jagannath Das Babaji used to stay in Vrindavan for 6 months and Mayapur for 6 months. So at this time he was in Mayapur, so he took Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj to that place and confirmed from him that this is the actual birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is only because of Bhaktivinoda Thakur that we have Mayapur today, in being that Mayapur is so significant today. That is one of his foremost achievements of figuring out where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace was. On top of this, so he was a magistrate, he had 10 children, he was a householder, and he has written 100 books. More than 100 books, but 100 prominent books in Bengali, Oriya and English. Most of them spiritual, but like we discussed, he wrote a few books in English, normal books, non-spiritual, and he also knew Urdu and Persian.
Wow.
So it was crazy amount of output. So because of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his stature as the magistrate and the amount of work that he produced in Bengali, Oriya, English, people started respecting Gaudiya Vaishnavism again. So, and then we are about to end. He also wrote a book called Sharanagati, which has so many kirtans. So even today, like if you go to the temple, we perform 5-6 artis every day, and then we sing 3 of his kirtans for arti. So we do Gaur Arti, which was written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We sing in Mayapur, they sing Yashomati Nandana for Bhog Arti, and then before the Bhog Arti, they sing the song that we are going to sing today, which is sung during the offering is going on. Right, the actual arti, Yashomati Nandana, is sung during the actual arti, and then this song is sung during the offering is taking place. And if you see in most of the kirtans by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of the beautiful features of his kirtans are that he would describe things as if he was present there, right? So he basically transports you. Even in the Bogarti song that we are going to sing today, you will see that he is describing the Leelas as if he's seeing it in first person, right? So that takes us really into the Leela, and that's one of his wonderful, wonderful features of all his kirtans, right? One final thing, in 1896, what he does is he's the one who predicted that people from all over the West, France, England, and USA, he said these 3 countries will come to Mayapur, and Mayapur will be filled with devotees from the Western world. Right, that was one of his predictions, and like a precursor to that, in 1896, he sends a big book called of shlokas on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with a 45-page introduction in English to all the universities in England and America. Right, so even now we can find that book in many of the libraries in the Western world. I think it is being published by Tata McGraw-Hill right now. And Prabhupada says that Prabhupada's appearance was in 1896. So Prabhupada himself said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur had set up a base in order for him to continue his Leelas in America. So, and then we have like 3 predictions that I'm going to read out, made by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, a personality will soon appear and he will travel all over the world to spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya.
Wow.
So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted the appearance of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, and then he says, very soon the chanting of Harinam Sankirtan will be spread all over the world. Oh, when will that day come when people from America, England, France, Germany, Russia will take up kartals and mridangas and chant Hare Krishna in their towns, which also has come about to be true. And then he says, when will that day come when the fair-skinned foreigners will come to Sri Mayapur Dham and join with the Bengali Vaishnavas to chant Jai Satchinandana, Jai Satchinandana? When will that day be? So, this is the life history of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a wonderful acharya who appeared during dark times in the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism and brought about so much changes and wrote so many books and so many kirtans and gave us Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to actually spread. So he started, Bhaktivinoda Thakur started the spread of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur took it all over India, and then Prabhupada took it all over the world. So that's the sequence of things.
Do you know why it got to that dark phase before the Vaishnavism? Like, do you know what the cause was?
Yeah, so all the devotees basically took the theology of philosophy of Prema Bhakti, and then they started doing all kinds of nonsense in terms of like enacting Rasa Leela, this, that.
I know that during Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's time, he had to like correct a lot of people for that.
Yeah. So someone says that there were 16 different sects that sprung up in the name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and they were doing all kinds of nonsense during this 50 to 100 year period before Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance. So
I think even after the passing of some of these exalted acharyas, Rupa Goswami, there was no real structure.
Yes.
So there was no direct line.
Right.
So that devastated a lot of it. Was just allowed to be organic and free flowing. There was no central authority.
Was this around the time of Jagannath Das Babaji or before that?
No, this is around the time of like Northern Das Thakur and
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. Right after, she was like the last big power central, and then after her, everyone was just making up their own things.
Okay.
Perfect. So
this is
we
the
will be
translation
singing
also.
this Bogarti. It's a big song, so we'll go through that fast and go through the translation. It's my favorite kirtan ever. I've only heard it sing in Mayapur. Very rarely sung anywhere else because of the length, probably. I don't know. But it's beautiful.
It is
the translation, like he basically transports you to Vrindavan, to Gokul, and to how Krishna takes his meals. So I'll start. Just worship Sri Gaurahari, who is always affectionate towards his devotees. He is the same supreme Godhead, Krishna, who sported in the cowherd pastures of Vraja and stole the hearts of Nanda and Yashoda.
Mother Yashoda calls to Krishna, "My dear Damodar, it is very late. Please come right now. Sit down in the dining hall and take your lunch."
On the direction of Nanda Maharaja, Krishna, the holder of Govardhana Hill, sits down, and then all the cowherd boys, along with Krishna's elder brother, Sri Baladeva, sit down in rows to take their lunch.
They are then served a feast of sukta and various kinds of green leafy vegetables, then nice fried things, and a salad made of the green leaves of the jute plant. They are also served pumpkin, baskets of fruit, small square cakes made of lentils and cooked on milk, then thick yogurt, squash cooked in milk, and vegetable preparations made from the flour of the tree.
Then they receive fried squares of moong dal patties and urd dal patties, chapatis and rice with ghee, next sweet made with milk, sugar, and
Sesamum. Like
Sesame.
sesame seeds.
Sesame.
Sesamum.
Sesamum. Rice flour cakes, thick cooked down milk, cake floating in sweet rice.
They're eating so.
Are we just? This is the perfect song to sing before we eat.
Yeah.
This is our way of just like roasting.
Yeah, like that.
Martha doesn't bring it today.
There is also
Especially
sweet
that.
rice that tastes like nectar due to it's being mixed with camphor.
Before,
There are
what is the whole
bananas
camphor
and
thing?
cheese.
Camphor?
Like camphor, like actual camphor, like you light it.
Yeah.
Like
There's edible
No,
camphor.
they powder it and mix it.
really?
Yeah.
You should taste some like this payasam that we can
Payasam?
make with the camphor.
With camphor.
Yeah.
Like it's the same. It's the same one you light, right?
It's a different, like an edible
It's
version.
called Pachakalpur.
Yeah.
You put it in the in South India. They give Kirtan. They put it in that.
Yeah,
It's very tasty.
It's a very different. It adds a different spice taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need to try it. Sorry, please.
There are bananas and cheese, which is the nectarian and delicious. They are also served 12 kinds of sour preparations made with tamarind, lime, lemon, oranges, and pomegranates.
There are puris made with white flour and sugar. Puris filled with cream, lead and all patties boiled in sugared rice. Krishna eagerly eats all of the food.
In great ecstasy and joy, Krishna eats the rice, curried vegetables, sweets, and pastries cooked by Srimati Radharani.
Krishna's funny Brahmin friend Madhu Mangal, who is very fond of laddus, gets them by hook or by crook. Eating the laddus, he shouts Hari Bol, and makes a funny sound by slapping his sides under his armpits with his arm. I was Madhu Mangal in every drama. From like ages 5 to 10. Yeah, okay. More like
I don't know if it means like this or if he's just going like
because it like makes a sound. It makes a sound like with your ribs. It's quite loud.
Beholding Radharani and her gopi friends out of the corner of his eyes, Krishna eats at the house of Mother Yashoda with great satisfaction.
After lunch, Krishna drinks rose-scented water. Then all of the boys standing in lines wash their mouths.
After all the cowboys wash their hands and mouths in great bliss, they take the rest with Lord Balarama.
The two cowherd boys, Jambula and Rasala, then bring Krishna pan made with betel nuts, fancy spices, and katachu. After eating that pan, Sri Krishna Chandra then happily goes to sleep.
Well, Krishna.
Fun.
Oh. Please, God.
You're right, you're right. It's them.
There are no diacritics there.
While Krishna happily takes his rest on an excellent bedspread, his servant Visalaksha cools him with a fan of peacock feathers.
At Mother Yashoda's request, the gopi, Dhanishta, brings remnants of food left on Krishna's plate to Srimati Radharani, who eats them with great delight.
Lalita Devi and the other gopis then receive the remnants, and within their hearts they sing the glories of Radharani and Krishna with great joy.
Thakur Bhaktivinoda, whose one and only joy is the pastimes of Lord Hari, sings this Boga Arti song.
Nice.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's wonderfully described.
Yeah, so
It
pastime.
makes a lot of sense why you like this.
Vishaka, you have his menu for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm recollecting the recipes.
Or you should ask him to make it for you.
Donuts. That puri with cream on the inside and then fried.
That's
like,
donuts.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
a Boston cream.
Which melody are we doing?
Vaja bhakata vatsala Shri Gaurahari. Vaja bhakata vatsala Shri Gaurahari. Shri Gaurahari Swahi Gausta Bihari. Nanda Yasomati Hitaha
Thank you very much, Shira. So we'll be stopping there today, and next time we shall do our last part. I'll give you the most important and informative one, which is going to be on Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and then on Srila Prabhupada.
Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
You do a bhajan by Narottam Das Thakur? Which one?
What is Fast 6 B? Was it the one I was trying to play?
No, this. Fast 6 is this. Is there a bhajan by Narottam Das Thakur we should do?
Yeah.
Which one?
Gaurav Karunakar. That was really great. Okay. So I ended up doing good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like the. I don't know how to play the other one. I was like.
A short one, mix? Short one?
What are we doing?
Yeah, I need to find it first.
What do you want me to do?
Whoever knew. Literally surrounded by Indians too. Seriously. I thought he was like, oh, you may have a hard time. Yeah, I would just try to be like, whoa. Like, 369.
Do you know like 6 of those rounds?
Yeah, let's do that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's the tune that I like.
What is the tune you're going with?
Yeah, a couple.
What is that? I haven't heard another one.
Wow, it's hard.
There are multiple tunes for.
And then you gotta drag
The
it.
singing Radha Krishna Pranam.
Radha Krishna Pranam.
I've never heard of that one. I've never heard of that one.
No, these are the meme tunes. Like, there's like a tune that fits with every song.
Oh. Like, I haven't heard anyone sing this budget without that lady.
Yeah, me too. But it's like it can work.
Oh God!
This is
Yeah,
the
you're gonna
3D
have to
version.
go on. It's called Desire Tree, like the one right underneath. Wait. Ah!
It's hard to do on screen.
I'm sorry.
The second one.
Oh,
Just
wait.
zoom into this.
Oh, too far.
No, this is good.
This is good.
This
Just zoom,
one.
in. Just zoom into that one.
I put up a Phil Pooch's desire right now. Okay. That was a
Pretty
good
much.
call.
Wait, do we read the translation first? Or you want me to just go for it? Okay.
The divine couple of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna are my life and soul. In life or death, I have no other refuge but them. In a forest of smoke and trees on the bank of Yamuna, I will seat the divine couple on a throne made of brilliant jewels. I will anoint their dark and fair forms with sandalwood paste, scented with kuya, and I will fan them with a chamarogus. Oh, when will I behold their moonlight faces?
I can't.
After stringing together garlands of malty flowers, I will place them around their necks, and I will offer tambula scented with camphor to their lotus mouths.
To the bunch of all the Sakhis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka, I will serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Narottam Das, the servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, longs for this service to the divine couple.
Radha Krishna Radha
Hare Krishna,
Anything for Shadam?
Yeah. Prashadam today was arranged by Harshit Prabhu. So before we eat Prashadam, let's chant 3 rounds because Harshit Prabhu bought this house very recently. So for his well-being and more Kirtan in this house and more Bhakti growing in this house, let's chant 3 times.
3 rounds?
3 times. Nobody is in the mood for chanting 3 rounds now.
Balaram was ready.
While he was talking, I went through the mental preparation. I was like, okay, 3 rounds.
Alright.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
All glories to Harshit Prabhu.